This is the Hardcore Road Trip preview show. We're being joined by Joel Gertner.
Thank you very much, and Mr. Livingston. I presume we are about to do prognostications, predictions, and a little bit of a precap for the first round of the Hardcore Road Trip tournament. So consider this, a quintessential scenario for March 2nd in London, Ontario.
Very well played, man. Very well played. So let's get into this, man. First round of the tournament. It's going to be an 8-man single elimination tournament. March the 2nd in London, Ontario, Canada. You're going to have to win 3 rounds to win the strap at the end of the night. And first up, we got C.W. Anderson, the Enforcer, taking on the Blue Meanie.
One of the most colorful performers in the original Extreme Championship Wrestling, Blue Meanie, taking on one of the top technicians, not just of his time, but of any time in the Extreme era, that being C.W. Anderson. However, I will point out, think about this, that C.W. Anderson was never on the opposite side of the fence competing against anybody like Big Sal or anybody of the size and the frame and the stature of the Blue Meanie with his low center of gravity and with all 330 of his pounds at 6'1". So what that means is it might be not only one of CW's toughest challenges to date, because as we know, Blue Meanie is going to try to rent space in his head, and he is going to try to give CW a mental run for his money. But this is not just one of CW's toughest tasks. This is literally one of CW's biggest challenges to date.
Let's look at the wrestling styles. Break down the different wrestling styles in this matchup.
Well, Blue Meanie trained at Body Slammers in Lima, Ohio by Al Snow. Okay, very important, because that means that Blue Meanie, in his time at Body Slammers, in his training, he has wrestled people with a similar skill set, a similar toolbox, and a very, very similar arsenal as C.W. Anderson. So Meanie was there at the same time, perhaps, where maybe referee Pee Wee Moore was running around there, and Dan Severn was being trained for MMA, and you had other people like Truth Martini and whoever else was in the Midwest at that school learning in the early to mid-'90s from Al Snow. Now, when you take 15 years or a couple decades of experience under the tutelage and advisement of Al Snow, what that means is that Meanie, don't let his looks fool you, is not going to be scared, frightened, or dismayed at having to hold on to C.W. Anderson's anything. And what I mean by that is that C.W. Anderson, as much as he plays offense, he also plays defense, and he makes you think about not just what he's doing now, but what's coming next, what follows that, and the inevitable spine buster. But here's a question for you. Like we already mentioned with the low center of gravity, and like we already mentioned that CW's challenges in ECW for contendership were never against people over 275 or 280 pounds. So with Meanie being as big as he is, when CW tries, either too early, too late, or just at the right time, to put that spine buster on Meanie, get him up and put him down, is that going to happen, or is the Blue Meanie going to be able to fight it off?
That's a very fair point, Joel. So which way are you leaning at the end of the day on this matchup? Who do you think's going to get the win?
It's tough. I mean, they've never wrestled before. Again, CW's never fought anybody in ECW that was Meanie's size.
Right.
Blue Meanie did manage Balls Mahoney in a Balls Mahoney singles match against C.W. Anderson as part of the Blue Balls tag team in Extreme Rising, but they have never wrestled each other. C.W. has wrestled Al Snow in Extreme Rising. He did lose cleanly to Al Snow. He was beaten at his own mental game. Can he beat Al Snow's student, the Blue Meanie? Now, for training, I happened to get in touch with Blue Meanie earlier today and asked him, what are you doing in advance of getting in the ring with C.W. Anderson? And he mentioned that he was not just brushing up on holds, but of course he was brushing up on counter holds and defense, which is going to be very, very important. So at the end of the day, yes, it's a top technician against one of the most colorful colorful performers in ECW history. It's also, you could call it anything you want. You could call it the Enforcer against ECW's one-man dog and pony show. At the end of the day, it is CW, the strategist, against somebody who is following in the extreme footsteps of a Bam Bam Bigelow, of a Bam Bam Terry Gordy, a very, very agile, nimble big man. At the end of the day, this one is a toss-up. It really is pick 'em, and it really just depends on who has the momentum going into the end of the match. It really depends on whether that spine buster connects or not, and it depends on a number of other things. So honestly, if I was a betting man, I would bet that this is going to be one of the highlights of the first round. But as far as being able to pick a winner, there's no telling.